My fellow Nigerians. It's me again, Diko Trumano, the presidential candidate of the APN and Team MANGA leader. As I promised in my earlier speech, this is the first of my addresses to you outlining the strategies we will take if elected in 2027 to make Nigeria great again. I will of course start with the big elephant in the room, or should I say on the road. And that, my fellow Nigerians, is the high price of fuel. The price of fuel in our nation has climbed astronomically in the last 2 years, climbing as high as 1,300 naira before dropping to approximately 950 naira per litre this year, placing an unbearable burden on our people. To understand how we got here, we must look back at Nigeria's petrol history. In the 1980s, fuel was sold for less than 0.20 naira, that is 20 kobo, per litre, a time when Nigeria refined its own petrol. Nigerians drove into the filling stations happily to fill their tanks to the brim. The performance of local refineries began to decline in the early 1990s after the military government ordered NNPC to transfer its accounts to the central bank, leading to loss of autonomy and interference by politicians. This led to the gradual decay. And from 1991 onwards, the refineries lost steam due to a lack of proper maintenance, till finally the NNPC-owned refineries turned into comatose structures. This was the beginning of decades of subsidized importations which have continued till date as the refineries remain non-functional despite the government releasing billions each year for the payment of salaries of refinery staff and for the refineries' maintenance. Instead of fixing our refineries, successive administrations kept importing fuel at huge cost, while subsidies drained trillions of naira. Money that should have built hospitals, schools, and roads. This led to the gradual increase in fuel over the years as successive administrations, mainly due to pressure from foreign lenders, have tried to reduce subsidy payments and even remove them outrightly. Today, after another subsidy removal, in 2023, our fuel that once cost a meager 0.20 naira in 1980 is currently at approximately 950 naira per litre after peaking at over 1,000 naira. Yet salaries remain stagnant. This is unacceptable. Now let us talk about Nigeria's fuel price in global rankings. Globally, petrol averages $1.10 per litre, but in Nigeria, at an average of 950 naira per litre, which is about $0.60, we are not among the cheapest. Compare this to Saudi Arabia, $0.60, but their minimum wage is over 4 times higher than Nigeria's. Iran, $0.05, a fellow OPEC nation that prioritizes its citizens. USA, $0.90, but their minimum wage is $7.25 per hour, that is 11,600 naira per hour. This means if you compare it with our 8 hours a day work and multiply it by 20 working days each month, an average American worker on minimum wage will be earning 1,856,000 naira a month. Compare that to 70,000 naira. How can we compare? In Africa, we are now among the top 10 most expensive, behind countries like Zimbabwe and Uganda. Yet, we are Africa's largest oil producer. How does this make sense? If we stick to only the 12 OPEC countries and compare their average petrol cost against their minimum wage, you will see the ratio of fuel affordability in relation to income in which Nigeria is at the bottom. Imagine that. Nigeria has the lowest fuel affordability in a list that includes African countries like Congo, Gabon, and Equatorial Guinea. Their false justification is that fuel is more expensive in developed nations like Europe and America. Yes, but their minimum wage is 50 times higher than ours. Their inflation is under control, ours is over 30%. Their cost of living includes working public transport, stable electricity, and social security. We have none of this. We cannot compare Nigeria's suffering to the West's manageable costs. The solution is very simple: produce more for Nigeria and sell in naira at discounted rates. The solution is already in our hands. The 650,000 barrels per day capacity Dangote refinery is capable of producing enough fuel not just for domestic consumption, but also for export. There are also 5 modular refineries in Nigeria. The NNPC-owned Port Harcourt and Warri refineries are supposedly operational, though there is lots of controversy about the claim. There has to be an agreement between the NNPC and the local refineries management on the sale of crude in naira and at a discounted rate so that it can bring down the price of fuel. It will also help in the strengthening of the naira. The first problem is low production. Nigeria currently produces 1.3 million barrels per day, BPD, far below our capacity of 2.5 million BPD. Why? Because our leaders prefer importing fuel in dollars instead of refining locally. The second is the claim that Nigeria needs to meet up with oil deliveries that have already been paid for, so the crude being produced is only sufficient to meet foreign orders and not enough to supply the local refineries. Here's my plan. Ramp up crude production to 2 million BPD, not for export. The extra crude produced should be solely for local refining. All domestic crude sales must be in naira, not dollars, and sold to Nigerian refineries at a discounted rate. OPEC quotas only apply to exports. So increasing local production does not violate our quota. Dangote, the local refineries must get priority supply. No more excuses. This way, we flood the market with locally refined petrol, sold in naira, and prices will drop. The second part of my plan is the total decommissioning and dismantling of all non-functional government refineries. As soon as I assume the office of the president, we will give the NNPC 6 months to prove that the Port Harcourt, Warri, and Kaduna refineries are fully functional. Any of them that is not functional will be totally dismantled and sold as scrap. We cannot continue releasing billions for turnaround maintenance of derelict plants. It is like throwing money off a bridge into the ocean to never see it again. And besides, the Dangote refinery, one of the biggest in the world, is more than capable to meet both our needs and exports. The refinery staff of those decommissioned refineries will be transferred to other NNPC departments. In this way, there will be minimal job loss. Fellow citizens, we are not a poor nation, we are a poorly managed one. Under my leadership, no more artificial scarcity. No more dollar-based fuel pricing. No more excuses while our people suffer. The era of exploitation ends now. Let's make Nigeria great again. God bless you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.